had one unit on the scene, and Bedford Police Department had a unit on the scene. The man loaded his hostages in an automobile and proceeded to this location. All of us still being out searching, was able to get in close pursuit or hot pursuit of this automobile, and it wound up here. Finally was culminated about 8:15 a.m. With the eventually shooting of Ted Walters.
How did the hostages get away?
Well, the hostages did not get away until after we had disposed of Mr. Walters.
In other words, the hostages were in the car while the shooting was going on?
This is correct.
I don't know, they promise, but I don't believe in this promising and all these dreams they tell us. Because they tell us, the old people, they just say they're going to do it. But saying and doing it, it's another thing. So I'm tired of this promising.
Last year, sir, you had some difficulty with cold weather. This year, there were contractual problems right up until the last minute. Have you solved those problems?
No, not yet. I anticipate that we will. Of course, I'm an optimist. However, I think things are at least 75% improved from what they were the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think we're working towards an equitable solution, one that we can both live with. And my personal feeling is, you see that the Dallas Symphony Association has a certain amount of money it knows it's going to have to raise each year. And we think we can raise a certain amount. To go over that is a gamble. We can actually lose our orchestra. I think the next 2 years are the crucial ones, and I feel strongly that if we can reach a solution, we'll continue to grow, and we could have a great orchestra in Dallas. Not that it isn't great, but I mean a truly world-renowned organization.
You then played tonight without contracts?
Yes, the musicians play without contract, and I admire them for it, and they played beautifully. But I think they did the right thing. Besides, musicians belong on stage.
No. I think the real reason is to get Glenn Coker away from it, because Glenn Coker was looking down their throat all these many, many months. If you was here the morning that one of the directors of the federal foods appeared in court and asked us to close them down, that the OEO workers would get there at all late in the morning. They'd take 2 hours for lunch, and the people that was gathering around these places was stealing their federal foods, and there was a lot of drinking, and of course it was making it very hard on the lame, the blind, and the aged people.
Is this why the center is being closed?
That's why that we are moving the distribution point to another location for the protection of the aged people and the people that actually need the food.
Yeah, for their safety was our primary concern throughout this incident here.
Was he holding the shotgun on them at the time?
He had continuously held the shotgun at the man's head. At the time the shot was fired, he had momentarily glanced around and raised the shotgun from the man's head. Therefore, that was our only chance.
I think that he served so much time in prison, and some of it for things he claimed he didn't do, and even if he had it done, I think he served too much time anyway, and I think it affected him mentally, and he was more or less bitter or determined he wasn't going to go back to prison. This gentleman was traveling north on Fair Oaks, and he apparently lost control of his vehicle in the 7100 block, and he run off the roadway, and he traveled for a distance down the roadway, and as he gained control of the vehicle and brought it back on the roadway, he apparently wasn't able to apply the brake immediately, and the pickup continued travel into a northwesterly direction, and the front of the vehicle collided to this child that was traveling, I say a child, a boy, a young boy, traveling south on Fair Oaks, and the boy was knocked over into the ditch.
Bob, do you have any words of wisdom for Bobby Crum in Dallas?
No, Jerry, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I think we've got our hands full tomorrow night, and I respect Bobby as a coach, and I respect his hockey club. I think he's got probably the strongest club in the Central Hockey League this year, and I was at a function last night where Bobby said he'd be happy to make 4th place, and I think he's being very modest. I think he's going to be right up at the top. I just think we've got our hands full tomorrow night with Dallas, and I'm just hoping that we're going to come out of it in pretty good shape. Our boys are going to be out here to play, I'll tell you that. They're not going to be intimidated by anybody, but with the talent that Bobby has, I really think he's got the best hockey club in the Central Hockey League.
Is it the size of Dallas against the speed of Fort Worth?
I don't know if it's so much size versus speed. Bobby's got a lot of veterans back from last year, and you know, when you have the veterans back, especially in this league, we're coming in with 7 rookies this year, and these kids don't know all the ropes yet, and Bobby's coming back with about 3 of them, so he's going to have a distinct advantage on us in that department. He's also got size. He's got a lot of big boys over there. I think he's probably got about 2 that are under 6 feet tall, and our club is not excessively big. We can skate, I think, fairly well. Tomorrow will tell. You know, it's the old adage, speed versus size, but then again, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a classic hockey game, I think.
The Naval Reserve Association is dedicated to preserving the quality of the reserve program and ensuring good programs in the future, not only for reservists, but often as a spokesman for active duty personnel as well. Conventions like this one in Dallas lean heavily on professionalism, such as this symposium this afternoon when reservists heard a panel of flag officers bring them up to date on the new Navy. Among the big shakeups going on now is the creation of the so-called Mod Navy by Admiral Elmo Zumwalt. One of the men in charge of implementing Admiral Zumwalt's famous Z-grams is Vice Admiral Richard Gwynn, Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. I talked with him about Mod Navy men and discipline.
I would say the general impact of all the Z-grams has been to make the Navy a better place to live for the people in the Navy. As I mentioned earlier, to make the individual important, to do away with those rules and regulations where sometime we have been our own worst enemy. I like to think about the fellow that says there's no reason for it, it's just our policy. You know, these things get started in the past, and whatever the reason might have been for something in the past gets outgrown, but you stick with that policy. So we've taken a hard look, and where we can find no real reason for a rule or a regulation or way of doing things, we've tried to liberalize it so that the individual quality of his life, the way he lives in the service, is improved.
Isn't this affecting discipline, though?
Not at all. The man that goes over the line, the man that doesn't do his job, the man that thinks that this means permissiveness is absolutely wrong. And Admiral Zumwalt has made this clear in his Z-grams also.
The pretrial release program is operated by the Dallas Bar Association and is housed here on the 6th floor of the Dallas County Courthouse. Its director is Sam Cooper. He is newly appointed to that position as of the 1st of October, and he has promptly found himself with his hands full. During its first year of operation, the pretrial release program has seen more than 1,400 men who would have been inmates of the Dallas County Jail released while they were awaiting trial, released to go back to their homes and back to their jobs. There's a tough criteria for participating in this program, and we talked to Sam Cooper about it.
Basically, what we're here to do is try to return to the community someone has been put in jail. For many reasons, the person, when he's put in jail, it does put a hardship on the community, plus a hardship on the jail itself. And
But generally, when a man goes to jail, isn't it because he did something to the community?
Well, you've got to look at it this way. The man has not been convicted. In other words, he hadn't been tried in a court of law yet. So he is eligible, as far as our program is concerned, for pretrial release.
Who is not eligible?
People that are charged with murder, rape, armed robbery, certain drug offenses.
Or major crimes against persons. Right. How do you go about releasing a prisoner?
First of all, we go up to the jail. We receive a list of everyone that comes through the day before. And from that list, we eliminate those offenses I've just mentioned. From there, we check their past records. And then from there, we go up and talk to the man.
In other words, you do talk to the prisoner himself.
Right.
What does his attitude have to do with whether or not you release him?
If he has a cooperative attitude when we're talking to him, this helps a lot, because this is sort of a personal judgment between the interviewer and the prisoner himself. And we talk to him and try to get a feeling of the man and how he reacts to people talking to him and the community. And we try to get the feeling that he's going to stay.
Mr. Van Zandt, how did you come to take advantage of the pretrial release program?
Well, at the time, I didn't know what was happening. They told me I was getting out of jail, and I couldn't figure out who did it, because I'd called my wife, see. And this man came and talked to me. And asked me if I wanted to get out of jail, and I told him, yeah. And so I got out of jail, and it didn't cost me anything to get out of jail. And I got a lawyer, and so I did have a trial, though.
What did the program mean to you and your family?
It meant a lot to me, because I got 5 kids, and you know, when you're taking care of 5 kids, it means a whole lot to you. When you can get out, you know, without paying anything.
What would your wife and children have done had you stayed in jail?
They'd have probably had to get on the welfare or do something, because she sure couldn't have taken care of them.
What about your job?
Well, my job, I told them about it, and so they don't mind it, you know. They was glad it happened.
So you were able to keep your job?
Oh, yes, sir. I got to keep a job.
What do you see as the future of this program?
I feel like this is the coming thing. There are about approximately 50 to 60 offices throughout the United States, and there are more starting every day. We have, from time to time, received letters from other cities here in Texas wanting to start programs similar to ours. In fact, Fort Worth, right recently, is trying to get something going.
How do you personally feel when you send a man back to his job or his family?
Pretty good.
This year's budget for the pretrial release program of just a shade over $60,000 will be used for office personnel and general overhead. There will be the director, Mr. Cooper, an assistant director, 2 interviewers, and 2 girls working in the offices. A study to be released shortly by Southern Methodist University reflects that last year alone, the pretrial release program saved taxpayers more than $166,000. They say it could ultimately save the county more than $1 million. From the Dulles County Courthouse, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, after 3 defeats and 1 victory, I think certainly our ball club has matured. We're much more serious. I think some of our young players have grown up. This remains to be seen in the 1-loss column, but I, as a coach, can sense a different feeling this week in workouts. We've got great morale and attitude. We've got a lot of people wounded right now, but they've been out here nevertheless. They haven't been in the training room. So I anticipate a very fine football game against Rice.
Well, how is your quarterback situation shaping up for this game Saturday night?
Well, of course, we haven't been pleased with our offensive performance, and naturally the quarterbacks usually receive most of the blame when the offense isn't moving the ball. But Gary Hammond and Billy Pete Weatherford both have looked sharp this week in workouts, and I frankly believe that in time that they're going to become outstanding quarterbacks. I'm just hopeful that they'll come of age this week.
Do you have any surprises for Rice?
Well, no, I don't know if there's really any surprises in football anymore unless you fumble the ball an awful lot or throw a lot of interceptions. I would be delightfully surprised if we executed well, didn't drop the ball or throw interceptions, and this is what we're striving for.
We feel that Texas Southern has one of the strongest teams in this area. They rate 8th in the nation against the rush at the present time, and their rating is 10th in the nation, the top 10 teams. They feature primarily a running game. They have a halfback named Hart that's average in 93 carries, 6 yards a carry. So we feel that they are going to feature the running game, and we will probably go to the air.
And who will carry your offensive guns tomorrow night?
We are depending upon our quarterback, Herman Jordan, and our receivers, Bobby Stokes at split end, and Powell at tight end, and Joe Pierce at flanker, all of whom have very good speed. We hope we can find some cracks in their defense.
Speaking of defense, what type of defense do you plan to mount against their rush?
Well, we know we have to stop the run. If we're fortunate enough to stop the run, then they'll have to go to the air. We'll have to readjust.
Pam, when did you notice something wrong this morning?
When I heard him talking to someone, and nobody ever comes out early in the morning. And I looked around the corner, and there was a man there, and he walked in, and he had a gun with him. And so I decided, well, maybe I better get out and call the police. So I crawled out the window and went across the street.
What did he tell you to do?
After he found the police was there, he said, "Y'all come on." So we went out the back door, and he had my wife and I go around the back as usual, and he cut across in front of the garage, across front of my pickup, so they wouldn't get a shot at him, I guess, and had my wife to drive, and I asked him where to put me, and he said in the front seat with her, and he got in the rear seat, and he got me and kept the shotgun pointed at my head all the time.
Did you ever think that he would really pull that trigger?
At the time, I didn't think so because he was so polite in the house, but after it's all over with and I found out the type of man he was, I don't think he would hesitate one bit.
It feels so good.
What made you wait so long before you took your first plane ride?
Oh, I don't know. I was always working.
Was it fun? Did you have a good time?
How?
Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
What made you decide to come down on the what made you decide to come down on the plane this time?
This boy here and the church I want to see. Brother Grant's church I want to see.
Well, great. Well, do you like flying? Do you think you'll do it some more?
How?
You think you'll fly some more now?
I imagine I will.
Good for you. Have a nice time in Dallas.
Yes, I will.
Okay, great. Thank you.